Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Morgan's Pop Talks, breaking down the latest in reality TV and pop culture. A little housekeeping right off the bat because, as you know, it's Vanderpump Rules finale week. I mean, I know it's not the finale, but part 3 of the reunion aired this week. So we're doing things a little bit differently, obviously, because I record the podcast on Wednesday afternoons. And I know nothing matters except for Vanderpump Rules right now. So what we're going to do today, we're going to do Summer House final thoughts today. And then on Friday, we're going to have another bonus episode come out about part 3 of the Vanderpump Rules reunion, my final thoughts, and all the things. Because I'm doing 2 podcasts this week, I decided to make sure that I don't run myself into the ground, with these podcasts because I'm still working woman. So today, no pop 3. We're just going to get into a deep dive of the Summer House finale. And I mean, at least part 2 of the reunion. I don't even want to talk about it, to be completely honest with you, because Summer House has been draining me. But I feel like I owe it to you guys to make it one final push through the last episode. And I have Selle Brooks from the Who Asked Me podcast on with me today. I found her on TikTok and I really fell in love with her because she's unapologetic in her opinions. And that's something that I am really struggling with lately. I mean, y'all have seen the Instagram comments and the podcast reviews. Okay. I'm getting haters in the comments, in the DMs, in my podcast reviews. And it does start to get to me. I am just a sensitive little flower, but I'm trying not to be. I all the time compare myself to Tom Schwartz. I'm the Tom Schwartz of Bravo commentating, where I just want everybody to have fun. I want everybody to like me. I want everybody to like each other. But at the end of the day, you guys, can't we not have a differing opinion about Bravo without people being jerks? I mean, what is this world coming to? Literally. And just because I don't like the way that Paige DeSorbo acted at the reunion does not mean that I hate Paige DeSorbo. I met her at BravoCon. She was very nice. She was one of the nicest people that I met at BravoCon. So it's not that deep, people, for you to be leaving me a 1-star review that says hashtag Team Paige. Come on. We got to be better than that. Okay. So Selle, like I said, she says it like it is. Even if you don't agree with her take or my take, it's just for fun, you guys. Can we just have fun? Okay. Let's get into it. Selle, thank you for joining MPT this week. So happy to have you.
I'm so happy to be here.
Sad to be talking about the Summer House reunion because I feel like, honestly, I've been watching Bravo for a very long time. Weirdest reunion ever? Am I alone in thinking that it was totally bizarre?
No, you're not alone. It was bizarre from what we were watching. Also, the editing, the producing. I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
What is going on?
It was very strange. It just didn't really, and I know we'll get into the Andy of it all, but it just didn't seem cohesive at all with what we watched from the season. There were things, and they always do this where they put things in the trailer and then it doesn't end up. But the accusation that Sierra texted Corey while he was with Sam and then we don't get it, who's making those decisions?
Well, Summer House is notoriously bad for doing that to us. I mean, I can think of multiple times in other seasons where they put clips in of the previews and we're like, oh, what's that? And by the end of the season, we've never seen it whatsoever. Yeah. And it's like, well, okay, why did you put it in there then?
Right. Not to mention and I really don't mean this as shade. It just is a fact, but Sierra didn't do anything at the reunion. So it's if you're going to bring up something juicy that happened about Sierra, why wouldn't you?
Morgan, girl, you always say, I don't want to be shady. Lean into the shade. Lean into the shade, girl, because is it shade if it's true? You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's true. It was very random at the end there when Sierra started yelling at Lindsay. And I was like, I feel like there's something that we missed in here. I still don't, even if there's something we missed, I'm still not really sure why Sierra is so activated against Lindsay at this point in time. But I mean, I'm just like, what's going on? And I even remember looking at the clock and being like, we're running out of time. When are we going to bring up this accusation?
Yeah. And it just never came to be. So one of the unanswered mysteries of Summer House, I think we should just kind of walk, through the episode. First, though, this wasn't at the beginning, but it's something that Lindsay said that I think shaped the entire part 2 of the reunion. And that is when they were in their green room by themselves, just her and Carl. And she said, I'm worried about the relationships that matter. Me, you, Kyle, Amanda, and Danielle. And I feel like that kind of set the landscape for what we were about to see, because of course it started with a little bit of, Paige interjecting as well, but we didn't really hear from her throughout the rest of the episode. And we start with Carl and Kyle. What did you make about that, the whole first scene between Carl and Kyle?
I mean, it was sad. Like, it was very sad. I remember at the beginning of the season when Kyle was doing that, I was like, I don't think anybody understands. Like, this is beyond Carl never being able to keep down a job, or like Kyle giving him that job. It's actually just not cool to do that in general, but especially to your friend that's in recovery. Yeah. I know that Amanda is like a gentle parent when it comes to almost everybody in her life. But I feel like I would have had to tell my husband, like, hey, absolutely not.
Yeah, shut it down.
Absolutely not. And I know that doesn't necessarily work with probably doesn't work with Kyle the best, because if you take it up here, he'll take it up even further. But it was just so sad. And we've never really heard Carl open up that much about what went down with his brother in the past before that led up to his passing. So it was heartbreaking. It really was.
Yeah, I agree. And I feel like in general, Carl doesn't get enough credit for his sobriety journey. And I've said it from the very beginning, I really hate when people put the boring label on him. It's like, why? Because he's sober. He has given so much to the show. I mean, even from season 1 and now opening up about his addiction, talking about his brother, talking about his parents' divorce, now getting engaged. I feel like, boring. Why? Just because he's not like James Kennedy waterfalling fireball? Like, it's a different kind of entertainment, but I still appreciate what he brings to the show in that regard.
I do too. And that whole boring label, I was just like, when at the beginning of the season when it was happening, it was like, oh, get up and go to Barry's boot camp. Carl's not waking the rest of the house up to get up and go to Barry's boot camp. And he's also not saying, everybody go to bed. Yeah. When he goes, him and Lindsay go to bed, he's just like, I'm going to bed. Right. You know what I mean? So that's why I was like, I don't really understand why everybody's so mad about this. It is what it is. Let them go to Barry's as long as you're not waking me up, as long as you're not making me go. I don't care.
Something I found really interesting still in this Carl and Kyle dynamic is, with the lover boy stuff, we found out that really Lindsay and Amanda both behind the scenes were trying to bring them back together. We got Lindsay's side of the story when she says, I was telling Carl, no, you're not just going to quit. You're going to talk to Kyle, your best friend. And then you have Amanda on the other side that says, I have been in Carl's shoes where he's a little bit frustrated with his job, and I vent to you and you only hear my side. So I thought that was really nice that they could put their differences aside for a second and see, the common ground on that. I feel like without the other distractions, there is hope for Amanda and Lindsay. Do you see that as well?
I do. I do see that there's hope for Amanda and Lindsay. I think, just like I think with everybody else, Lindsay wants to move on. And that's what I got to give her each and every time. And I know everybody's like, you're such a Lindsay fan. But Lindsay says she's going to move on, and then she moves on.
Yeah, she does.
Not to throw back to the first episode, but like, I couldn't believe that we were sitting there talking about stuff from 2 and 3 years ago that everybody claimed to get over. Yeah. We've had times that like people have been fine with one another. And it just felt like they came to the reunion I felt like everybody, even Carl and Lindsay, came on such a defense, like trying to defend their actions. The difference between Carl and Lindsay and everybody else is Carl and Lindsay were defending their actions from this season. Everybody else was reaching back to other seasons to try and defend their actions.
Yeah. And I said it a lot last week. It was very hypocritical, especially, just even comparing like the situation with Kyle and Carl this season when Kyle blurted out, what happened with Carl and Loverboy and his addiction issues. It's like Kyle so badly wants everybody to stop bringing up the fact that I cheated on Amanda. Stop bringing up the fact that, we got in a huge blow up fight last year. But you can then go dig up things like, a substance abuse issue. Paige can bring up, last year in May, this article was written about Craig. It's like, we have to just live in the present because it really made the reunion just not cohesive with the season at all. What do you think about Andy? How did Andy do?
Look, Papa Andy, you can't win them all. Okay. You can't win them all. After watching Jersey last night, I'm like, this is where Daddy was depleted. Okay. Because like between that and Vanderpump, we need to space out. I've been saying for a couple years now, like maybe it's time for Andy to like give the summer house reunions, and he ain't giving Vanderpump reunions to anybody
now. Not now.
But like maybe some of the smaller reunions to someone else, because I don't think that he watches Summer House. No,
I don't think he does either.
My good friend Tom Hamlet, he swears up and down. He goes, he does not watch that show. He gets the Cliff Notes from from an assistant, and that's fine. Just don't claim that you watch the show. Andy, I feel like, listen,
come on, girl, give it to us,
because it's just so frustrating to me. When if he was cohesive across the board, I would be fine. Yeah. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He's letting Kyle jump in at any beck and call, but then we have to cut off Lindsay, and then we're letting Paige go in. I so wish, as the moderator, Andy would have looked at Paige in her eyeballs and said, hey, babe, what's going on? We're at season 7 reunion, right? Like, what are we doing? Why are you talking about that? Because Carl and Lindsay had to ask Paige, why did you go out to eat with me and squash the beef? Not Andy. And that would have been my number one question. I would have been like, Paige, you are very worked up right now. Did something happen this season? Did you see something on the screen that directly affected you to make you so mad today?
Yeah.
Like, because that's just a question, and it's a fair question.
Yeah.
I could see if Paige would have seen like things Lindsay was saying about her behind her back, like things like that to bring this energy. But it's just like, okay, girl. And like, let's call it straight to say you don't care about Danielle that much. You just don't.
Yeah. I do think that Andy, like his intentions were well when he's trying to mend the fence between Danielle and Lindsay, because like he said, he cares about this relationship. The viewers, I think, care about this relationship. But what I didn't like about it is that it only told one side of the story. And it's like no matter where you fall on this argument, and I feel like it's so divisive because in relationships, I feel like you have either been the Lindsay in the situation or the Danielle in the situation. And that's why people tend to have such strong reactions about it. But when he was trying to really mend that fence and like, the huge monologue, the breakdown moment, he really only looked at it from Danielle's perspective. He really didn't turn around and say, and Danielle, do you see why this affected Lindsay this way and why she's having trouble separating, the difference, whatever. So I thought in general, Danielle got off pretty easy.
Yeah, she did. She sat there. She looked like a wounded puppy. She let those teardrops fall. And it was like, oh my God, protect Danielle at all costs. When I'm just wondering where her montage was, because she said and did a lot this season. Yeah. Said and did a lot. And I feel like she got away with like, I didn't mean to. Then why did you? Because all of that stuff that you were doing was completely avoidable. I think the thing that irritated me the most was all of the I statements when it came to and I get it. When she started explaining it like that, she was like, I wanted to do this for you, but my main issue, and this is me coming off the heels of I dealt with a lot when I was getting married from my friends. I had to tell them, like, I understand that you want to do this, but are you wanting to do this so you can say, look what I did for her? Or you want, because some of this stuff I don't want. Yeah. Like, so I really don't want it. So are you wanting to do this so you can go back and say, well, look what I did for Giselle. Like, look what I did for her while she was getting married. Or are you doing it because you're like, no, like whatever she wants, I'm going to move forward. Because again, I said I didn't want it. She's telling Lindsay, I would have been there with fireworks. I just want the fireworks that I set up to be there. And I was like,
But why? Yeah. What is
Lindsay doesn't want the fireworks. She wants you to not talk to other people about her relationship. And that's fair.
Yeah.
That's totally fair.
What did you make of, we also like very briefly got the Danielle and Robert situation. And she says she doesn't think that she was projecting her relationship issues onto Lindsay and Carl. I think it's hard to like admit that because people don't willingly project, right? But I also don't buy 100% that she was not projecting.
I don't think, okay, so somebody, the internet does what it does and it reaches back into the past and gets the receipts.
Yes.
No one consciously projects to that point. You are correct there. But I just think that that's how Danielle is when it comes to relationships. They showed a clip of her season 4 with Paige and Perry, and she's sitting there telling Perry, like, you always have the perfect answer. I don't doubt that he's great, but no relationship is perfect. They showed the clip of her face when Kyle and Amanda got engaged. I'm like, Danielle, what's going on, babe?
Yeah.
Like, what is it? To the Robert point, it's hard to date a chef. I was in the service industry for 12 years. There's no way I would ever date a chef. Yeah. No way. I think that it's interesting that she's so mad at She had more of a reaction to Carl sitting down and responding to Robert saying, hey, can we, grab something to eat? Then Kyle picking up the phone when this had nothing to do with him. And then being like, well, we had to talk business. Again, I would have been like, what business did you have to talk? Because you're just being nosy, Kyle. Like you're just putting it in there. Anybody in Lindsay and Carl's shoes would have said, like, was she projecting? Mm-hmm. We all said it all season.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's not that outlandish. So it just to make it seem like that's something only Lindsay and Carl were saying was annoying.
And I also think like I'm just going to try to play devil's advocate at some points because have also been called a Lindsay lover. But like, if I'm Danielle and I have 2 of my best friends sitting across from me and they don't reach out to me during the breakup, which is neither here nor there. Like that's another discussion that we'll get into. But then Carl says, oh, but I did reach out to Robert. At that point, I think I would be like, well, how come you can squash the beef with Robert to reach out to him, but you can't squash the beef with me to even shoot me a text to say like, how are you? The thing is, I think with Lindsay in general is that, how do I want to say it? She's not going to take the opportunity to extend the olive branch if she doesn't think it's going to be well received. You know what I mean? Because it's like all of these things have happened over the past year. And it's like, I almost wish that she would have texted her, even if just to say, I did reach out. I was the bigger person in this situation, but I just don't think that she works like that. Do you have any?
So here's my thing about that. I realized this during the reunion and during the season, Danielle keeps like intertwining why she's mad at Lindsay and why she's mad at Carl.
Yeah.
You were mad at Carl for the engagement.
Yes.
You're mad at Lindsay for not responding how you wanted her to respond about the engagement. Because I keep asking myself, like, even if Danielle would have come to Lindsay and said, I'm upset I wasn't a part of the proposal. And Lindsay would have said, oh my God, okay, let me talk to Carl. Mm-hmm. And she would have talked to Carl and said, why was Danielle not involved? Then what? I keep asking myself, and then what, Danielle? Then what? What do you want? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I understand Lindsay, because Lindsay didn't reach out. She said, I did not talk to Robert. She was like, I didn't reach out to Robert. I didn't reach out to Danielle. So she was neutral in that. But then she's mad because I thought Robert asked Carl to.
Oh, maybe.
But either way, the boys, whatever, they did that.
Yeah.
I would just wish that Lindsay and Carl would have said, I was still hurt, Danielle. Yeah. I'm watching all of this take place. Mm-hmm. I know what happened was I was there, and then I'm watching it take place. I was still hurt and I didn't reach out to you. I can relate to that. When I'm so hurt by a friend, I do shut down. And I feel like Lindsay was in a state of like, I cannot believe this happened.
Yeah.
And not like, just to throw it back a little bit, I just don't understand why we like the audience gives everybody else so much leeway. When Lindsay has told us what happened between her mother and her family, I'm not surprised that Lindsay just shuts down because it's irritating to me because Danielle can cry. If you cry, then your emotions are valid. But if your reaction is to shut down, because that's a protection thing, protecting your feelings, it's not valid to anybody. And I'm just like,
yeah. Yeah. I've said that a lot. I mean, when you look back over the past seasons of Lindsay's reactions to things, I mean, remember when she broke up with Everett on the beach on the phone? Not a tear. And was like cut and dry, was like, I think this is best for us to move on now. Okay. Like, let's do it. That's just the way that she handles situations. Either that, or in the past, we have seen her get activated.
Exactly.
Now, I do think that Lindsay went into this season telling herself, I do not need to get activated, or I don't want to get activated. And so you're seeing her both in the confrontation with Kyle earlier in the season when he's screaming at her, and then in the conversation with Danielle at the end. She handles it the same way, where she just completely, and I feel like I can almost hear her in her head saying, don't get activated. Don't get activated. Because they like to take that and run too. So it's like, if she gets activated, she is overdramatic and nuts, as Paige would say. Yeah. If she is consciously making an effort not to, she's cold-hearted and emotionless. So I do see where she says a lot, like, I feel like I can't win with these people.
She can't. And I mean, I get it because I relate to her. Lindsay's a Leo. I'm an Aries. Like that's a lot of the times. And I process things. I'm not on TV, but I process things very privately. Like I will like come home and like sit there and it's still like, I might cry, but it's still not like I'm just like getting myself together. And then that's how I process them. Like, it doesn't make anybody right or wrong, but there's an accepting that's not happening. And that's what's frustrating.
So another big point of contention is between Danielle and Carl, and it's about the engagement and Danielle's involvement in the engagement. Do you think, because there's two theories, right? There's one theory that Carl only told the people that he had to, which does include a lot of her friends and family because they had to fly in. There's another theory that is he purposely didn't tell Danielle because of her reaction. Do you feel like it's a mix of both, or do you feel like it's kind of leaning one way or another?
I think it's a mix of both. And I think that Carl did what he thought was best. I've been into it with my best friend before, and our husbands are friends, and they are literally like, you guys have to fix this.
Yeah.
Like, you have to talk to each other because like, we don't know what to do. Carl didn't know what to do. He knew that at the end of the day, he was still going to propose to Lindsay. So he has to move forward because Lindsay is his partner. Like that has to take forefront. And, I just keep asking myself, like, Danielle, how would this look to you? How would this look to you if they involved you in every single step of the way? Because I fear that when you give in to people who like what they're asking of you in your relationship, that's then going to come back and bite the actual relationship.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And I always thought, it wasn't necessarily about Danielle not knowing. It was about her perspective being, well, I'm the last to know, and it's on purpose, which I feel like are two kind of different things. And, Danielle even says, I would have been there with banners and balloons. And Carl, I'm glad that he asked the question. I feel like Carl is like in his reality girly era. Like he's not afraid to get in it anymore. He used to be afraid to get in it, but he's like, Danielle, I told you I was ring shopping and you screamed into a pillow. Like if you were to say, she was like, I would have loved to have helped. That would have been the time to say that.
I was so confused by people being like, that's presumptuous. You don't go shop for rings unless you plan on proposing. Why would that be presumptuous? Yeah. I just don't understand what these people are talking about. Sometimes I'm like, are you guys so tired of trying to be on the opposite side of everything? Yeah. We cannot deny that pillow scream was a wild reaction.
Yeah.
And it was a telling one.
Yes. But, go ahead.
Well, no, I was just going to say, like, we didn't even say, like, Danielle, do you understand where screaming into a pillow was so over dramatic? And because the way I see it at that point, she literally could have just been like, okay, so you guys are really, really moving forward with this. Yes. Okay. What do we need to do?
Right.
That's it.
Yeah. And it kind of foreshadowed what happened at the engagement party. And I think I'm really confused in general about how this finale ended, because in one breath she says, I regret nothing from the engagement party except my outfit, drinking too much and talking to too many people. And then she turns around and she does say, I'm sorry that I ruined your engagement party. So do you regret nothing, or are you sorry that it ruined her night? Like, the disconnect,
Yeah, I'm going to call a spade a spade. I'm not going to bite my tongue anymore on this. I think Danielle is lost in the space of where she belongs as a reality TV star, because for this whole time she's had Lindsay helping her along. And now that's where I think that I regret my outfit came from, because I was like, who says that? If you're really trying, that was the first thing out of her mouth. Yeah. And for me, if you would have said that and I'm really trying to talk to you about our friendship, we're done. You want to talk about an outfit right now, and this is what you did. And then she said, I would talk to like 3 less people. You're trying to make a moment there. You're trying to be funny. And I'm trying to talk to you about this relationship. Yeah. So I think she's caught in between where she belongs in this reality TV space, if she's not friends with Lindsay. And you cannot tell me that like she feels super comfortable over there with those girls. I'm sorry. You just can't. And I hate the Paige said, like, she was never allowed to be friends with us. Paige, come on. That's not, I've said this before. Lindsay's not Bellatrix Lestrange. She's not casting spells on people. She's not like threatening them. Like, I'm going to rough you up if you go talk to her. That's not it. There's scenes from season 4 with all of them out to eat. Like that's just not true. And y'all don't like her either. So, and like, it's just throwing me so off.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, just a strange reunion. I left feeling like, what the heck did I just watch? I have no idea really truly where anybody stands. I said in previous episodes that I wouldn't be surprised if we saw somewhat of a Lindsay and Danielle reconciliation, strictly for the optics of moving forward into a next season. They both still want to be on television. Like, let's not get it twisted. Lindsay and Carl, they're gearing up for their wedding. Danielle doesn't want to go anywhere. She was on Winter House. So do you have any predictions of maybe who will and won't be back for next season?
I really think that if we can move on, like, and I mean, honestly, truly move on, everybody can come back except for Maya. That I'm serious. That whole like covering the mics, running away from cameras, you literally did the opposite of what you were supposed to do as a reality TV star. I don't care what you were going through, like your boyfriend cheating on you. But I think everybody can come back, but we have to move on. If we can't move on, then I say that we just need to strip it down to the basics. I really think that Sam, Gabby, Chris can come back. I want to see Alex come back. He's so cute to me. Yes. I want to see him.
He didn't get a fair shot.
He did not get a fair shot. I would love to see my Lukey come back, but I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think Lexi wants to be on TV. You know what I mean? So whatever, have Sam and Gabby bring some friends in, and then we alternate the OGs. I think we can, bring them in. We can get some shots of them in the city. We need to get back to being in the city. I think the COVID year kind of ruined that. And then we regroup, because this isn't going to work if we don't want to move on.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And I am like, even with Paige, even though I know people think I'm anti-Paige, I'm really not. Like, I understand her entertainment value to the show as well. And I mean, her first 2 seasons, she was such a fan favorite. I want to get back to that space, where it's not just so ugly and nasty all the time.
You know what I'll say when I was looking at those old clips, because I never was like a Paige stan. I have people messaging me all the time. It's like, I wish you liked her. I'm like, I don't really know why, because I don't know the girl. I'm just commenting off of what I see on TV. And when her first 2 seasons, I did enjoy Paige. I enjoyed the dynamics. And I think that Paige, I'm not saying bring Hannah back, but I think Paige needs like a chaotic neutral, a friend that's willing to stay neutral, because Hannah was willing to like
she was.
Conversations off with Lindsay, film scenes with Lindsay, film scenes with Danielle, be over here, be over there. She wasn't afraid to like kind of say something about Paige, but still keeping their relationship at the center. She lost that when Hannah left.
Yeah.
And now she has people who don't care to stay neutral. They don't care to hide their feelings. I also think that Craig is in her ear.
Yes. And we will leave it at that because I do not disagree with you. I feel like we definitely have seen that shift in her in the past couple of years. But anyways, I know we're so crunched for time, so we do have to go. But Zell, thank you so much. I love you. I said it at the beginning of my podcast. I just love that you're so unapologetic in your opinions. And I take inspiration from you. So tell everybody where they can find you.
Yes, you can find me on my podcast, the Who Asked Me podcast. It's on Spotify, Apple, wherever you find your podcasts. On Instagram at Who Asked Me podcast, and then TikTok is Who Asked Zell. Zell is SELLE.
Okay, and we're done with Summer House.
Woo!
Until we get casting decisions in a week.
Oh, is it a week?
It should be soon. I mean, what? It's the first week of June. You know, they'll definitely be filming by July 4th. So we're getting down to it. So stay tuned. All right, guys, thanks for joining another episode of MPT in the books. Don't forget, bonus episode comes out on Friday, talking about part 3 of the Vanderpump Rules reunion. Please leave a review if you haven't yet to drown out the 1-star reviews that I got last week. And I'm probably just adding fuel to the fire right now. Somebody else is going to go leave me a 1-star review. But if you haven't, leave a little review, a little love you like a sis, because you know I do. We'll see you next time, and love you like a sis.